Wednesday, October 9th. Wednesday, October 9th, 2024, 5:30 PM. Call the meeting, Public Works Committee to order. Present via Zoom is myself, Donnie Kern.
Caleb Garn.
Brandon Crone.
Stand, salute the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is September 11th, Public Works minutes.
Caleb Garn, make a motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
Brandon Crone, second.
Motion made and seconded to accept the minutes as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. We'll have public comment on agenda items, 2 minutes per person, 14 minutes per topic. Is there anybody in the audience?
No.
Anybody online wish to give any comment? I guess we're doing pretty good then.
Nope.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much, Brenda. Next item is on the agenda then is project updates, general update on active projects.
Yes, good evening, everyone. So that Village Park Trail improvements, that's later on in the agenda. I'll skip over that. The TID 5 subdivision plats, we're actually gonna have a meeting tomorrow just to kind of go over some of the nitty-gritty details of, you know, where the drainage and utility easements need to be and that sort of thing. We're gonna be doing some infiltration testing tomorrow for the regional ponds, and we're gonna go like gangbusters so they can get that out to bid. We're gonna include our plan sheets into their project. The lift station and utility extension project is out for bids right now. We're having difficulty kind of locating the ends of the casing pipe. So more to come on that one. The record plans don't seem to be as accurate as they should be, so we're playing detective right now and trying to figure out next steps. And Bob and I will be working closely to solve that riddle.
So we've had multiple instances of this come up just since I've been on the board of pipes not being where we expect them and stuff like that. How much more risk is out there? Piping, we don't know where it is, or
Well, you rely on the DOT's as-built and how accurate those as-bills are.
Okay.
That's my biggest concern is the length of pipe from the proposed to the as-built never changed, so I was a little bit nervous about that. And what we done today, we didn't find it, and it's all
that could,
frac sand, so it was, you took one scoop out and 4 went in, and you took one scoop in, 5 went in, and we just aborted it, and well, we're gonna try to, and that was done in 2004.
Yeah.
So to speak to somebody to figure out where those, you know, if they had any idea on the job, they retired.
is there any way you can detect it from above, like a metal detector or something?
We tried.
Okay, it just is
We
too
weren't
deep
getting
or
any
something?
hits, you know, and it was, we didn't have any shoring width, so trench box. And that the banks were very unstable. So
Yep, oh, I
we
know,
were real comfortable letting the
it's
guy
all
down
sand.
there.
Yep.
You know, they could be shorter, they could be deeper.
Did
And
you get it with like a heat signature? Is there any heat in those pipes? Would you,
No,
if you
it's
ran
the-
like hot water down there or something?
and you know, why they wouldn't put, you know, typically they put, yeah, a marker or post or some damn thing at the end of them, you know? And but yeah, we've got, you know, more to come. We're gonna talk to the DOT and
So I guess there's nothing really can be done and there's no one to be held accountable for it, more or less, just we're marking the pipe we're laying now clearly, right? And-
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
you know, and quite honestly, you know, Bob alluded to it, but I think it's worth pointing out, it's been over 20 years, and you know, sometimes even something that happened a year ago, if you don't have it noted somewhere, is hard to find.
Oh, yeah, documentation is
And
everything.
just, you know,
Could the pipe have actually moved that much? It couldn't have.
One of my biggest concerns was it never put in actually. We paid for it, I did find that out, so I'm like, okay, hopefully there's some verification, but. You know, our village eyes weren't on it, I don't believe 20 years ago, so. There was an assumption that it was done and put in and. So now it's trying to track down someone from the DOT to verify. If they can.
you know, to jack casings now, you know, hundreds of thousands.
That's 256 feet. We would have to run a new casing if there wasn't one.
Two casings, right? Or one for the water, one for the sewer.
So hopefully we find those.
And it's a, you know, a timing thing with, you know, deadlines coming up and things out for bids and everything else, so. We're working on it.
There's gotta be some way to find that, some way to find it. But, anyways,
Yeah, it's
that's
like
up to you guys.
a ground penetrating radar or
Yeah,
something, you know, but
yeah,
to mobilize something like,
LiDAR,
yeah.
No, sorry I interrupted you. That was my only question in regards to what we were kind of
You know,
speaking to there.
Pinevale First Edition, you know, we've commented on their plans, there was.
Will you back up to impact needs assessment? You said you got a ordinance amending the impact fees that's going to be presented at next week's meeting.
Yeah, there's that is on the agenda for the next meeting, correct? I gotta confirm that. I believe that's what we were talking about. That's what it was posted, right?
That's the intent. I want to make sure that that's still being followed through with. When we
Yeah.
met last month, that was the board's wishes.
Yep, and I know that my planners put together the ordinance, the draft ordinance, it's sitting in my inbox. I just haven't had time to look at it, Donnie, but I'll make time tomorrow.
Okay.
Thanks
We'd
for
like
that.
like to get that on the agenda for next week's board meeting to get that adopted.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Pinevale First Edition, you know, you know, that was recommended for approval at the Plan Commission meeting. We've reviewed and commented on their plans and their revisions are sitting in my inbox. You know, they continue to put pipe up in Pinevale on the, you know, the current phase of the project. Getting closer to the hangars, I'm not quite sure. I don't have,
Has there been, back to Pine Val, has there been any resolution with the Ryan Vanas situation that we got up there? I know it was brought up at the planning commission meeting last week.
yeah, it was discussed at the planning commission at length and, you know, we're continuing to monitor it.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's, the latest planning commission meeting, seems like they had really good discussions on it and. I think it's the point where is they taken it as far as they could, Capstone being accountable for everything. I think they're being a more than reasonable, way more reasonable than some of our past builders have been, very responsive. You know, but the homeowner's upset, which is understandable, but.
Well, if water is running onto his land, we need to address the issue, I think.
Yeah, there's a solution that was provided to the homeowner, and if he wants to take it, he takes it, and if not, then.
When they put the DNR had them put like logs out there and stuff.
Yeah,
too,
there's
and that
bio
kind of stuff,
logs
too.
and they ramped up and they, you know, biomat at the hillside, so. But essentially that hillside, that slope, Donnie, hadn't changed. They didn't manipulate that slope. It's a lack of vegetation that wasn't there, at the time when that heavy rain came through. So,
Yeah, and I'll tell you, just living in my division, like from where I'm at on the back of the hill on Walnut there. How much it's changed as they put every single yard in, at the beginning, the person in the bottom yard, it flooded constantly. My wife and I were just sitting there like, why, they're screwed, it's never gonna be right. But now as they put grass in there, we got those bad rains, it just flowed right off and it went right down to the storm drain like it was supposed to.
that's good.
So.
That's good to hear.
You can't really, it's hard to judge until everything's in there. And Capstone's really good about getting the sod in right away, as long as there's not rain 24/7. But yeah, if you didn't watch the meeting from last Thursday with give it a watch. It was actually a pretty good meeting.
Let's see, treatment facilities more or less done and approved by the DNR. We've got a little bit of O&M stuff and, you know, submit some final funding documents, and that'll be done. DNR wrote a letter to, Lions Head Prairie. And so they're working on a written response. I don't know if they've seen.
Yeah, they're through that. There's one final piece that they have to complete, but the update today was good.
Bob, are they looking to get the signs in then over there? Anytime, I know they were on back order. Is that something that's gonna, that is in yet or will be done, or can we give at least posts up until before frost sets in?
We're talking wine sap. Yep, as soon as they come in. Yep, I talked to Mike this morning. He's waiting for the signs on Depot and the signs for that as well. So as soon as we get them in, they'll
Do you
go
think
up.
they'll be in before frost?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
I just want to make sure at least we get the post in before frost, and we can always put them up in the middle of winter then.
yep.
That's my brief update. Anything you want me to?
I've got a question.
Sure.
Village Park trail improvements, kind of glossed over that. So your requested action on that is for us to approve a task order for $6,400. So does that mean you already have drafted the plan for the stairs?
No,
So
we
that's,
have to draft the plan.
okay,
And it's on the agenda. What is it? It's on the,
I was gonna say that's down on 6B.
that's why I glossed over it.
okay, we'll discuss it there then.
Right, so one thing I wanted to touch base on there is Church Hill Professional Building Development. Is there anything going on with that?
Site plan was approved and recommended for approval to the village board by plan commission.
Okay. Do we know what's going on with the washout of did they finally get to that? A couple people have been asking about that washout on that up by Quick Trip. I know it's not in, you know,
I talked to Schmitz, the St. Anne's go-to contractor. They said, well, that was screwed up from the DOT. I sent a note to the DOT. They're like, well, we didn't touch that, so it's back and forth again.
a lot of finger pointing.
Yes.
Well,
So all it really is gonna take it, and Donnie, if it comes into that, I'm gonna order one of my guys to go get some rip, throw it in there. We'll clean it up and be done with it, because honestly, it's a $500 fix, and
Yep.
it's not worth 5 weeks of me battling two people that are, you know, arguing against each other.
Yes.
I think that's the best solution on the deal, and at least it's not washing out into the storm drains.
Yep.
So was that reported on the Jizz map at all, or the task tracker app? Did you ever?
Do it, the washout?
Yeah,
No.
no, that's just the word month, okay.
Yeah, Chuck and I actually noticed it when we were looking at the site plan for that professional building. I says, what the heck's going on here?
Bob said, why is there all this rock here? And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, cause I use that app every once in a while, to see you guys. Other.
Next
Just
item
wondered.
on the business, if we're done with project updates, is discussion possible recommendation outdated ordinance Title 6, Chapter 4, which was tabled and were brought back up. Title 6, Chapter 4 was the trees and shrubs. We tabled that to send it to get legal opinion on it. Legal did come back with an opinion. And they suggested several things. I mean, I don't know if you all had a chance to read that email from the attorney.
Yeah, I was able to read that. I did go back in there and make some updates based on his feedback. But I made those late today, so we can just table it till next month to give us a chance to review it. Brandon, motion to table 6-4.
You said you sent out some stuff today?
Yeah, I mean, it was at like 4 o'clock today. so
Okay,
I wouldn't
Okay.
expect anyone to be able to review that.
so motion on the floor. Is there a second? Motion made, seconded, to table Title 6, Chapter 4, ordinance review until next month. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Title 6, Chapter 2, Streets and Sidewalks. The tabled items was section 2B2.
what were we trying to figure out on this one then? Just with the.
Whether or not we
sidewalk?
want to continue to have assessments in for repairing and maintaining sidewalks.
So I added the word, shall, I replaced with may. So it gives the village the option, there's a request for sidewalk to go up Parent Street and, you know, in my opinion, that is off in the distance a little bit, but if they really wanted to push that, I would say that's a prime candidate to assess property owners, if there's enough of them that want it. Right now, I've only heard from one. So,
May I make a suggestion? That I hear what you're saying on that. If you said shall at the discretion of the village board be the duty of the abutting property owners. So you're basically giving the village board the authority to authorize an assessment if you recommend it. If you put may, they could argue the fact that it's not a requirement and it's a passive language versus requirement. But if you say it at the request of the village board or it shall be at the recommendation of the village board, the duty of abutting property owner, each side to construct, repair, and property owner. So if you put that in there, that would resolve what you're looking for. Where-
You had shall in there and you.
But you put, it shall be the,
it may-
I'm not tracking Danya, and it shall be.
Well, you want to change
Village
shall to
board.
may in that first sentence,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, but I don't
Okay, so-
understand how the village board,
Well, it may, if you read it where you're saying, it may be the duty of the abutting property owner on each side to construct and repair, and the duty of the abutting property owner to maintain sidewalks along any street or alley or highway in the village as required by the village board and to pay the cost thereof. So if you're just saying, if you put as required by if you put as required by the village board at the beginning of that sentence, you know, upon requirement of the village board, it shall be the duty of them. So now the village board would be the ones that would be authorizing the requirement of the property owners to pay for the reconstruction and repair. You're basically getting what you're saying.
I hear what you're trying to say, but what you said and what you put in there, I don't think that makes sense with what's in there right now. Because you say it shall be the village board shall be the duty of the abutting property owner, or how how would the village board get involved?
Well, the current language says what I think what Bob is trying to say. It says as required by the village board and to pay the cost thereof as follows. So the village board would be the ones that would be making that requirement already, right? If you read that language, I read it twice now and I come back to, I think that's what you know, if the village board doesn't require it, it wouldn't be due.
Donnie, would you just type that out and send it after, you know?
Yep.
And then if need, we'll wordsmith it.
Take it out.
Right,
I gotta have a visual on it.
Yeah, that would help me too. I
fine.
think that's probably,
Okay, thanks.
Table that one.
yeah, with feedback from Donnie's gonna reword that one. Perfect. Do we need a motion to table that part of it? Donnie, do you want some motion to table that one, or?
Yeah, I think we can table that till, I'll move to table that till next month and get that wordsmith. Are we just talking about section 622?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay,
second,
motion made, seconded to table 62B2, 622B2. Until next month. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Title 12, Chapter 12, Parks and Recreation was tabled. In your packet, you've seen a couple of different reservation policies. I'm assuming from Hudson, Baldwin, New Richmond. They're all different. They all got a different flavor to them.
so for me, on this one, I thought we had kind of talked about how we wanted to get that app or that part of the website up and running so people could go in the calendar and access it and mark it off. And then the other part of this was I was pretty sure that the baseball folks were gonna figure out what they needed to do in order so the schedules worked out for them, so we wouldn't have to get involved. So have you heard anything on getting, okay. The calendar, so we need to find out if that calendar function. Did you guys talk about that in the finance meeting at all, Donnie? Or is that included
What's
in your conversations?
About-
Any improvements to the website and, specifically the calendar function?
That wasn't discussed that wasn't discussed at finance last meeting.
So I think, that being said, I think I would, before I would vote on any change of this ordinance, I would wanna get that calendar set up. So that we can just manage it through the calendar.
Which Neil does. I mean, because right now, whoever wants to park emails Neil. And Neil has his calendar, but I do know it's not going on the website calendar.
Right, that's what I'm saying, I would just want the people to just go in there and first come, first serve, book it off, and then Neil wouldn't have to mess with it.
Athletic field schedule. Calendar is there,
Yep,
park reservation email, so a request would go to Neil. For reservation of a pavilion or
right.
a park.
What's Neil's official position? Is he a park supervisor?
He's a parks coordinator.
Parks coordinator?
Yep.
Would you be okay with automating that, to have it just on the website, so Neil wouldn't have to do it, or is there something Neil has to do?
He has to acknowledge, and there's a few things he wants to go back and forth with them on
Oh.
to see, well, do you need picnic tables, do you need anything
Oh, okay,
on the village's behalf for this?
oh, that's awesome that we
So
offer
it
that,
does correspond that way.
Okay.
We put a reservation notice up on the pavilion that says this pavilion's reserved by so-and-so from the Saturday from 1 to 3. And that process has gone pretty good. I think what our ordinance alludes to is they gotta come channel that through a village board meeting
okay.
and get permission from the village chair, which I don't know is the most timely thing for someone that just wants to have a private birthday party.
It's ridiculous, cumbersome.
It's not a practice we've ever done.
So you're happy with the process we have right now, it sounds like, so why don't we? Do you have that in here?
But I think then a grand old, like, I wanna reserve Veterans Park for the whole weekend. I think that needs to go channeled through the village board.
Yeah.
Hey,
most
Bob,
times you
I'm
just-
gonna bounce this back. Bob, I'm gonna bounce this back to you. How about you put something in writing on it so I can get a visual?
Good. Yeah, that's fine. I'll write something up.
That we're
Thank you.
already doing, it sounds like.
So I'll make a motion to table, section 12.15 reservation policy and chapter 12 Parks and Recreations Yeah, that would be that, 1215 reservation policy, until next month when we get something from Bob on that.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is ball field use, Impact Sports Academy West. I did reach out to Sean. They are in the process of waiting for the election of the new softball. I guess there's a new board coming in for election, and so the softball association, and so he said that he's waiting for them to finish their elections and then sit down with them to get something together. But as of right now, I don't think they booked anything except for next spring. This is about the only thing he was looking to do. Is that what I'm,
I'm not aware.
okay.
Yeah,
So as of right now, I'd say that's tabled until we got an agreement or something to listen to them to discuss, because we were kind of waiting for them to come up with something anyways, right?
Yep.
Move to table till we hear from them. They can bring it up to
Okay.
table at that time.
You got a sec, Caleb beat me to the second.
Motion made, seconded to table. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion to table is carried. Next item is 2025 budget capital outlay.
Little capital outlay. Oh, the highlighted? What was that, not the 5-year plan?
No,
Oh, no.
Is that the one page that we're talking about here dated 10/2/24?
10/8/24, bottom right-hand corner.
I got 10/2.
I got 10/8.
I printed yours early, Donnie.
Okay, so has anything changed from there? I apologize. Has anything changed since then?
No,
Okay. The one question I have is on our budget, we had only budgeted 50,000, but we have 188 in sidewalks and trails. Is that because some of that was the grant money?
No, I wouldn't trust the 2024 actual. That's on a longer, Andrea could probably produce that one for you. I don't think that's a standing number. I'm pretty confident it's not,
What's that mean when you say it's not a standing number?
but it's not a good number,
Oh, it's just not right.
not a good standing. I don't know. But
I think it's
I
off
can't
by a,
remember my mouth.
it's off by a digit.
I don't know.
What does,
2023, yeah, it doesn't line up.
what is the sidewalk and trails fund? What does that all entail? Just, I know.
So that'd be outlay for, number one, for TAP grant. I'm trying to put enough money in there, so when we match that grant, we
20%.
don't need to borrow for it.
Okay.
So you have 20%, and also for outlay for truck and MSA to do the Village Park trail completion portion of that to connect into the TAP grant trail connections.
Okay.
So,
But it
So
does that
So last year, the 103,483, is that one wasn't right either?
I
Or
don't
is it-
think so.
Okay, well,
That's an Andrea question.
okay. Well, I'll have to get that out to her then.
So what I heard was $50,000 being allocated into park improvements, correct? Was that the consensus at the special meeting?
I thought it was 85,000.
85,000.
Okay. We'll change that.
So from 35,000 to 85,000? Or I'm sorry, 50, wrong, I apologize, I missed it. I see here 50,000 to 85, okay. Okay,
Does that, I suppose what we approved at the special meeting goes, that's what we wanted was parks and trails and clearing out. so that
Depending on what's available, where our budget is right now. Right now, we still don't have our levy numbers. So our budget, we
That would-
can't make any definite decisions because we don't have our levy.
Okay.
They're from the state yet. But we
Yeah.
have all the other numbers essentially,
So-
except that is the most important one. And then
so
that'll
we have our
dictate-
we have our wish list and our thought process out here, but we really don't know that what this is gonna be until we actually get our numbers from what the state's gonna drive. That'll
Right.
give us our levy amounts. The question I have here is, how are we doing with our sweeper outlay? And, because it doesn't look like we put anything in. Or, are we putting that 15,000 into outlay and same thing with the plow truck? And, okay, so we just haven't allocated anything for 2024 yet into them?
Bear with me 1 second.
Cause I know we got on our wish list of getting a plow truck and it's getting to be about that time. It's been delayed for several years and I was kind of curious of what we have in the outlay for a plow truck.
Last year was 25,000. The year before that was 20, the year prior to that was 20. The street sweeper outlay, that was 24,000 last year, and I think that paid the balance of that loan off. The loader, I think we're in the final payment for that, that's the 25,000, that'll zero that account out.
I think we paid off the loader this year, right? With the 24,112?
Right now, we had a budget meeting this morning with department heads. We're running a deficit right now in our capital outlay. So
Right.
the suggestion from Andrea is we just build the fund back up, don't make any big purchases next year on equipment. But try to zero out the balances, which that's what a lot of these lines are doing, at least two of them. The street later outlay, we can verify that for the street sweeper, but I know the loader, we have one final payment for $25,000 left.
In 2025, correct?
Yes,
And then
and then
Are we-
everything else is, we're building upon, so we might actually shift some of these numbers when we get some more detail in that budget and see where, the police, library, the village hall, everybody else wants and needs are. So. There's more to come on this one.
Moving target.
So we can get clarification from Andrea then on these 2023 sidewalk and trail numbers.
Yep,
Are we going to set 50,000 aside to get into that TAP grant to cover what we need to cover and our portion of that? Is that, we gonna need that 50,000 there for 2025, or are we able to put that towards our plow truck?
well, we could, we would have to borrow for the 20%, $1.3 million. Or find that money somewhere else. Which, that's not a huge.
Well, how much do we have set aside already for that 1.3 million, 20%?
That's what I'd have to verify with Andrea on
Okay.
that. Since we're running a deficit, that makes me think that we might not have anything in there.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, I'd like to know what that is, because that's, yeah, I'd really like to get the guys a plow truck if we can afford it, but if we can't, we'll have to figure out what the next steps are gonna be.
Right.
Okay, so this is gonna be set aside till we get a little more information, correct?
Yep.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Other than changing that 50,000 to 85,000, based on park improvements?
That's it.
Can I make can I ask a question on this? You have 10,000 for parks equipment outlay. Is there a chance you could take that $10,000 for park equipment outlay and put it with the 50,000 for park improvements? And, that would get us closer to closing that gap of 25,000.
We can do that. Yep.
I mean, because we are putting the equipment as part, some of the equipment work that we're doing is
Yep, we
in
can
fact
do that.
part of that.
And the way the, you know, for everyone's information, the way the capital outlay works is, you know, if there's overage on, you know, a police squad car, they'll pull it out of another line item. So, you know, and if the plow truck comes in more, they'll pull it out of another line. So there's a lot of back and forth with the capital outlay. Our main objective is to try to not get into a borrowing on, you know, in our lease situation with our vehicles. We did have another conversation with Ellers on Monday, and they said actually it's good to finance equipment for like a year and then pay it off. Because of the way our levy's structured, and Andrea probably would go more in depth better than I could on that one. But that's another thing that we might adjust with our financing. So again, there's a lot more to what I just said. She'd be the one to elaborate on it.
Maybe she could come and talk to us after, next month at the Public Works
Well,
meeting.
you could ask her at finance this evening.
Yeah, I'll ask her, but I'm saying for the benefit of the other guys.
Sure, yep. You can stay.
For your benefit.
No action on this one, Donnie?
I don't think there will be at this point in time, because we still have some questions out there and it's kind of a moving target, isn't it?
Yeah, these are more informational for the committee. The finance really does make the recommendation to the board on all the budgets. So it's just for the committee to understand and have an opportunity to, you know, well. I was aware of that because we had the conversation.
A 5-year plan. Are we gonna talk about sewer, water, or which one you want to talk about first?
Anyone, these are just projects that we've identified, equipment that's been identified. They don't necessarily have to hit on the year. Sometimes they do, a lot of times they don't, but they're numbers that I do provide Ellers on, you know, this is what might happen in a span of 5 years. So, you know, they'll take these numbers and put them into a spreadsheet for us to understand, well, don't count on, you know, a $3.4 million shop addition because you're not gonna be able to buy anything else. That's not necessarily the case, but
If we're on sewer, on the 5-year sewer plan, if I may, the check marks behind those items, does that mean that they've been completed and, are?
Yep.
Okay, so the lift station, we're in the process of working on, right? And we got a plan on that, correct?
Yep.
And so this next year, 2025, we're looking at depot sewer reconstruction and the master park plan and Elm reconstruction of sewer and utilities to TID 5, correct?
So the only one that's probably gonna come to fruition on that is utilities South TID 5. Depot Street, we shouldn't let go too far, but it's not a urgent thing where that street's gonna go into disrepair in a year, we could bump that out.
So Depot could push?
Yep.
Okay, and, the master plan of the village park, if something,
was-
something comes up in a recommendation, obviously it's something that we don't have budgeted for at this point in time, but, it's something that we could definitely look at. Or-
That's actually put infrastructure into the park, so if we added, facilities down lower, that would be the sewer portion of that.
All right, okay. Well, we definitely got the PID utilities. That one's scheduled to, that's gotta happen, right?
Yep.
Okay. And on the waters, we're looking at same thing, future well tower sitting. I don't, I guess that was in the budget. Is that something that I don't even know what that is.
Future well is just identifying an area, that would be bringing in, somebody a geologist basically to come in and look to see what available land we had, so perhaps some future land that might come available, whether it's purchased by the village or purchased by a third party. They could identify a good spot that, well, this is good geology for a well, or that, but that's what really that siting is, and then we would acquire that land, and, that would be reserved for a future well.
Well,
That,
we know where not to put it.
right,
And then, same thing with Depot Street. We're looking to push that off.
I got a question on the booster station.
Yeah.
Wasn't that kind of identified on our water survey as a need that needed to be,
not until 3 or 4 years from now,
so we got that as.
We're-
Okay.
2023.
Yeah. So booster station could potentially need to be moved up depending on water flow up to their.
Yeah.
How's your water flowing?
Horrible.
Should we move the booster station up then, Caleb?
It's not too bad.
Alright, it's on the radar. But we would need that booster station before we would need the new, tower. That was kind of.
That's still a big ticket.
So I'm gonna go back to the public works 5-year plan. How are we gonna fare with that 2007 truck when we have to start plowing Pine Vale and we're gonna be putting more miles on it? Are we put it off since
no, it's-
2019?
Right now, knock on wood, it's mechanically well taken care of. It's aged, and there's gonna be a year where things really start going bad on it. Where now all of a sudden we're stuffing $20,000-$30,000 into a plow truck. It's really past its useful life. You don't like to keep plow trucks for really more than 8 years. Yeah,
Was that the one I was riding around in with Neil?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
so.
How many plow trucks we in?
2 dump truck, 1 loader, 2 heavy duty pickup trucks, toolcat. So,
On the last thing was on 2024 Public Works 5-year plan. 2024, we didn't really do any of these things. Did we? Cause there's no check marks by any of these really.
no, we didn't, but we did, so if you look back, I have some, Spring Street, Main Street curb replacements at piecemeal then at 75,000, and I was doing that at a 10%. So we did that all in one. So if you go back to 2020, you can see what I'm referring to. Main Spring Street curb replacement at a 10%.
Okay,
So that we did all of it, And the bulk of last year's construction, just, I think the community needed a little break from things being tore up and staff needed a break, our finances needed a little break to just kind of let the dust settle. Monday's conversation with Ellers, that's another area that Andrea and I are asking, we've got a lot of money that we are allocating out, so we want to make sure that we have a good financial plan moving forward with, some of the big, Village Park and, what's that gonna do to our debt service and along with a lot of the other things that we have money committed to that, so we just have a better understanding. And they're going to work, they'll bring you something in December for that, but
Didn't we get the Larry Forest bathroom upgrades? Didn't we do some considerable improvements
we
up
did
there?
painting, but the
Then some
fixtures inside are,
Okay,
they need upgrade.
not Larry Forest.
So we could kind of look at not doing anything with the tool cat replacement then in 2024. And I noticed the plow truck keeps kind of coming back from 2023 to 2025. We got it in capital outlay in 2025. Is that something that we might be looking at if Ellers comes back and says that maybe we borrow for that first year on that and then pay off,
Yeah.
pay it off, that we can look at
Yep.
that? Because if prices are anything on plow trucks like they are on fire trucks, every year that we waste, we are costing the taxpayers more money.
Right. Absolutely.
It can't be as long of a lead time.
You'd be surprised.
What did they say the lead time were on the fire trucks?
Plow trucks are
Years.
13 months.
We didn't get the grant though. Is that something that we'd be looking at servicing on for this LRP grant with Reed, Evergreen and HUD and Van Ness and Jermaine?
It's more of a reassessment now that we didn't get the grant.
Cause that in itself is looking at the 300, 450, almost $500,000 in street needs.
Yep.
And I get that we wanted to take a break this year. I completely, understand that, but is that going to carry over into 2025 then?
Yes.
So we could probably look at postponing our park shop addition of $3.5 million. And move that off of this 5-year plan, because I don't think that's gonna happen in 5 years. Do you, guys?
I'm hoping to win the lotto.
We're
Yeah, me
gonna
too.
bring in a whole lot of businesses. Working on bringing some SMC businesses over here.
Right, so,
The thing about that,
This is all, we play things, not play, but you look at things where we have a borrowing issue back in, when I say issue, it's we took out a loan back in 1998, that falls off, and then we have loans that start falling off. And then our practice has been just kind of keeping that as a kind of a steady line, so that it's like, oh, here's an opportunity now to do one of these street projects because we have debt falling off. And we just have always, like, the wastewater treatment plant, that's why we really timed that. So our debt fell off, and then we did the improvement, so there wasn't a huge, radical uptick in new debt. It was, oh, okay, well, your debt ceiling, and if you look at our debt, it's pretty flatlined. And there'll be uptick, and then, we have debt fall off. And that's what you'll see again when Ellers presents that, but a lot of this is precipitated out of what Ellers will come back with on, okay, here's what you've identified in projects. And then these are being allocated to TID districts, so this is not, all those different moving pieces. Andrew and I just got together and said, hey, this is a really good time to sit down with Ellers to see where we're at, our short midterm future finances.
I guess the only thing I was looking at is, you know, we keep kicking the can down the road on these roads and not getting some of them crossed off like we are in these other projects. Eventually things even like, you know, there's some serious, you know, issues with like, you know, even down where I'm living, you know, on Raymond
Yep.
Street took a pretty bad beating here and even over on, LaGranger has gotten pretty bad there, in that one corner. And that kind of stuff, we need to, if anything, we need to look at it and come up with kind of a plan and, how we're gonna either borrow and start getting these replaced so that we have a maintenance plan put in place for 5 years, saying we're gonna do these this year and we're gonna do these next year, we're gonna do these the year after and factor in inflation and then I think we can actually show the taxpayers what we're able to, you know, present to them and getting some of these things fixed rather than I'm worried that we got $500,000 that we didn't do in 2024 and next year there might be another substantial amount of road repair that's going to need to be done and we're not going to have the capacity to get that done either.
Right, so that's why it's good to plug at least, you know, one or two of these and pull them out and accomplish some things.
Yep, I agree. So is there a chance that we might be able to look at that and say, yeah, we're gonna get one or two things done next year and if Ellers can give us some guidance on that, we can actually get that done?
Yep, yep.
But I do suggest that we take that, I mean, if the committee is okay with it, that $3.5 million shop. If you win the lottery, Caleb, you can bring it back up for discussion. How's that?
Sounds good.
Okay, but I would take that off of the plan and at least put it at 2030 before we talk about it. Is the rest of the committee okay with that?
I don't wanna take it off there. I'd like to keep it on the,
Well, I said put it at 2030
yeah.
because it's on 2025 right now.
Well, the one thing I just. You know, we have all that equipment and we can't hardly fit the equipment that we have in there right now, and it don't make much sense buying new equipment if you don't have a place to put it. I hear what you're saying, we don't have a whole lot of money for it, but.
Well,
I mean-
and Brandon, I look at it, we're not buying new equipment to leave it sit outside. We're buying new equipment to put it in the place of the old equipment. So it's gonna take the spot of the one that's sitting in the garage right now.
What you want 20, how about we put it at least on 2029, so at least it doesn't drop off.
That's fine. The other ones were at 2030. That's why I suggested that. The other ones have a 2030, you know, and a 2031 on them. So that's why I suggested it go to 2030.
2023 will have an additional plow truck identified. I just kind of took it off because we don't have anywhere to put it. Did get an additional plow truck. When we start adding, you know, Pineville and you start expanding, you know, eventually Line Sap's gonna move, Tip 5's we're gonna have more roads, we're gonna need more equipment to plow time
More guys.
and more staff.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it once these homes get in, we don't really see the assessed value for at least a full year after that, and then we start seeing that income regulated to us, and we'd be able to see those finances at that time.
Yep.
So
We still have to be able to plow the roads before that's assessed, so.
no, I understand that. I'm saying that some of these homes that were built this last year in 2023, we will start to see them on the tax rolls in 2024, correct?
Oh, when they're finally assessed. for the-
2025.
Yeah,
2025, all right.
Yeah.
Because we had 45 new homes go in 2023. Now this year, not so much. But them 45 homes going in, I'm kind of curious to see what that's gonna do for a tax to bring a tax base back to the, the
Now,
village.
this levy will be looking at what homes were built in 2022.
Okay. And that was about
Taxes are always looked back.
Yep, and that was about 40, they were about equal. So I think it was 40, 45 in 2022 and 47, I believe, in 2023. Not so much this year. I haven't gotten the final numbers on it from finance, but
I think
So-
we have to I think that needs to be part of the question to Ellers and keep that in there because we're gonna need more equipment, like,
It'll all be in that report. So it'll answer a lot of the questions that you're talking about tonight. That'll give you a lot more clarity.
so I guess, yeah, as long as I would like Donnie for this conversation, are you good with putting it on as? Well, if we need the new truck, when are we gonna need the additional truck?
That'll come.
Okay. Alright, as long, can we just keep the truck where it's at for now then and look at this again after we talk to Ellers or the.
I was fine with keeping the truck where it was at.
Not
I
the
was
truck,
looking to
the
move
shop.
the shop.
Shop.
Yeah.
Can we just keep it where it's at for now until we talk to Ellers?
It's fine. It's not a binding thing. It's a plan. But just so do you understand that reality is that I don't think we're gonna be able to go to the taxpayers and ask for a $3,500 deal, but we'll have to see what Ellers says. I mean,
Yeah, I don't disagree with
3.5.
you, Donnie. I don't disagree, I just wanna, I don't want it to fall off.
And we can also look at the 5-year plan again, January,
Yeah.
after Ellers comes back on
Yeah.
theirs and say, okay, now we know more.
Yeah, it's not binding.
Okay,
Yeah, I'd like to get a new shop. You know, I'd like to spend money like crazy, but we needed to.
Caleb, any other discussion on the 5-year plan?
Nope.
New business, 2025 preliminary budget. I have some questions. First one, I understand page 1, I guess it would be up on the top, machinery and equipment. I see you increased the salary on the 2024 budget for machinery equipment salary. It went up about 8%, but the benefits went up 100%. Is there any justification to that?
So are you talking?
The first two on the first two line items at the top of the page of the machinery and equipment under.
Yep, ending 110 and 120, and then you're looking at benefits ending in the number ending in 150.
No,
Saying,
I'm saying
Okay.
120 and 150. That's correct. Yep.
okay, 120, 150.
So a couple reasons. Right now, we're in a budget deficit of roughly $330. Our person that left was a single individual family. The one that we hired is on a family medical plan. So it went from 1,100 to
22.
2,200.
Yeah,
So our actual right now is $1,428, and we haven't completed the year yet. And there's also an understanding that our insurance is gonna go up 12%, that's less than that, so.
Okay. So it was due to staffing changes.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay. Because I noticed that the wage went up too, and if the new guy coming in, he's gonna be getting roughly, then we'd be looking at about an 8%. Is it because there's more work being allocated to machinery and equipment? That's kind of what I thought. It was more work being allocated to that department causing that increase.
Don't know, it's when things break down.
Yep.
So, you know, we hope that's a low number. But then again, when you're tearing a wood chipper apart because you got something jammed in it for 4 hours, that's where it's charged to.
Is that the same thing with garages and sheds? Cause we increased the salary there by, $3,700 and increased the benefits by $2,150.
Well, isn't that because more or less because the shop is in rough shape and needs to be repaired and that's part of?
No, that's wages and benefits, Brandon. I'm pointing out.
Yep, so we ran we're at a $1,800 deficit now. Our actual rate now is $5,300.
So what does that entail? What is the garage shed salary, garage shed wages?
Anything out in the yard, you know, mowing the grass,
That's what they punch into.
repairs, cleaning,
That's what they punch into when they're doing
Yep.
whatever. Okay.
changing light bulbs, doing all those, you know, types of things. That's where it's getting charged to.
How do they do that when they allocate their hours? Do they like have you have a punch-in system where they go in and punch into 53,270 or?
I can show you.
Okay, I'll come down with
It's a,
you.
it's a timesheet.
Okay,
So same thing on, the maintenance, street maintenance. I thought that this, you were proposing that we'd have additional work over there by an increase of $30,000 in maintenance, and 16,000 in benefits. Is that due to because, of the staffing issues again? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, there's a little bit more maintenance going on the roads. So, so 2024's budget was 6,400, 500. We're currently at 66, 648.
and then you think we'll need an additional 30,000 on top of for 2025?
Street maintenance wages on this sheet, I don't have it at, oh, so 2023, that's 64. So 2023, we're at $94,000, but we
Oh, got it.
had an absolute disaster with the roads because we had rain in the winter time.
So now you think we're gonna be back up to our 2025, we'll be back up to our 2023?
We could skim that down. I mean, I'm happy to. But
We,
Basically you shuffling around their time more or less. It's just you taking all of the time that's allocated to the guys and just shuffling it around more or less is what
Yep.
this is. So you just take that full number of all those guys' wages and benefits and you just, that's your best guess at where the labor's gonna land.
That's right. Can't predict what winter's gonna bring.
Huh.
So, and at the end of the day, the way I look at my budget is on the very last line item. And where we came in. You know, 2023, we're at 633. 2024, it's a better year, so it's at 562 is our budget, where actual is 383. At the end of the day, the auditor looks at that 622 number and we come underneath it, you know, if there's a lot of money left in. Choose to, you know, spend that money and run a deficit in the line, and we have, because like snow removal, we had a lot of money left. So it was really like, well, go ahead and ramp up this item because, you know, we've got a lot of money left in snow removal wages.
but if we're not looking to make any major purchases next year, which is fine by me, I mean, I get it. But we're gonna, obviously got aging equipment on here and we cut our equipment, machinery and equipment operating is that operating expense at 53,240? We dropped by $5,300. Does that have to do with,
Gas,
oh, that's gas?
fuel, yeah.
Okay. Maintenance and repair, we only went up $500.
Pretty steady.
what's entailed with the sidewalks in, on that, cause we
Which
have,
one are you talking?
we
Which
had
one are you
repair-
talking, Donnie? What number? What account number?
53, 430. 240. Second page,
Yeah, anywhere we have a slab of concrete that is a trip hazard or needs to be replaced.
right? We got maintenance repairs of 3,000 and 5,000 from the last 2 years. But we haven't utilized anything in those areas and we increased it to 4,000 for next year.
Yep.
We're expecting severe tree root damage somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Well, concrete has gone astronomically expensive, so that's one of my justifications for lifting a little bit on that. It's expensive.
Everything is expensive.
Concrete's killer.
But is there a reason we have to have all these different line items for this stuff? I guess is my question. Like
It's a tracking, it's a tracking system for, to say, hey, well, we don't have any money, sorry, or we burnt it all up in something else. It's a tracking just to, why are we spending so much money in this? And it's just an assessment of what, and then it's also, what we're required through the state for our audits.
And I think it identifies trends too, right? So you can say, we're spending more and more money on maintenance of these items, right?
Well,
Why
I
is
get-
that?
I completely get the I get like the storm and sewer and lighting and et cetera. I get that. Everybody is gonna look at it and say, well, hey, our salt, we didn't have hardly any plowing last year, why are we increasing? And obviously we're gonna tell them because we can't predict what a winter's gonna be like, right? So, but like I was saying, with some of these things, we haven't even seen with sidewalks, there's really a minimal amount that we even have in there. I mean, we don't even have a salary. We got $500 in a wage and no maintenance that has happened in the last 3 years. So why would we even?
We spent $1 million last year on sidewalks.
Well, that's my whole point. If we spend $1 million in sidewalks, nothing falls under this budget for that. And even the 2 years before that, there was nothing that was spent in sidewalks for maintenance, repairs, or wages and benefits.
So as soon as I get your bill from the Larry Forest, I'll probably charge that to sidewalks. And take it out of parks. If parks line items getting pretty thin, I'll allocate that into sidewalk outline, or the sidewalk line item.
Okay. I got you. So we're kind of looking to get a 60,000 roughly increase in our budget from last year.
Looks like.
Yep. And the same's true as, if we're over on street, on a line item, we don't just say, well, can't do any more. We can't fix the equipment because we're over on a line item. It's really, again, that bottom line, because there's a lot of our budget that I can't control just because you don't know what's gonna happen.
So to summarize our conversation up here, because we are getting close to the finance meeting, I think the only real actionable item that came out of that conversation was you were gonna change the street maintenance and wages, you're gonna skim some off of that. We had 95,000 figured there. We were actually at 64,000 last year, so you're gonna allocate some of that money somewhere else, I think.
Yep.
Okay,
If there's any recommendations to this, just let me know.
I think that was the only thing that came out of that conversation, besides, we did get some learnings on some other things. Anything else we wanna go over, Donnie, because we are Gonna be running up to the finance.
Yeah,
meeting here.
I'm familiar with what we got, what we're looking at. I'm watching the time too. Thanks, Brandon. Um, you know, there's a lot to be discussed here. So if you wanna set this aside, this is being presented to finance and, see what they come back on it, and, look at for next month, or are you gonna make those changes before it goes to finance?
Finance, and then we'll have one other opportunity again.
Next
in
month?
November.
Okay,
Yep. Yep.
so what, make the revisions as recommended and, we'll see it next month.
So that's why it's listed as preliminary.
Yep.
There's things that can certainly change.
Apple River Trail Design Proposal. Chuck?
Yeah, so what you have in front of you is a task order for $6,400. To, essentially develop an exhibit and cost estimates for replacing the stairs with a meandering trail, more or less.
Have the exhibit, is there, this is just describing it,
Yeah, no,
just describing it.
it's to create the exhibit and a cost estimate, so, and a future plans that you can, in future, down the road, you can build it, but it's not gonna be easy deal because, it's very steep, when you're placing stairs,
I was
so.
surprised when you said we could get a switchback in there, but we need it.
You have quite a bit of land, and actually, it's a pretty good price because we were talking about on both sides of the river. But when Bob my main designer put it together, he was thinking only one side of the river.
Good, so we're getting a deal.
You're getting a deal.
Can we get it for?
Can we,
get it-
Darren, make a motion to move forward with this?
Whoa, can we get it for 6,200?
Was there a second to that? Oh,
Brandon Crown second.
motion made and seconded to approve it as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I shouldn't say approve, I should be recommend approval to the board. Is what I think what we're looking for here, to clarify.
That was my intended
He
motion.
just jumped at it. Like coals.
I understand, Caleb. We just want it, for the record, we're getting it cleared up here. That motion has been carried. New business, discussion recommendation timeline on meetings with public on village and park improvements. I guess which I put this on the agenda because I need to discuss with you guys is what are we going to look at, like a couple of preliminary meetings after the first of the year? We're going to look at in the spring. What's the flavor of this committee on our discussions from our special called meeting?
I think, we should move this to our February meeting to plan what we're gonna do in the springtime.
Okay.
I strongly recommend that we hold, at least 2 or 3 public meetings, and one of those should be in the park itself.
Bob, did we get any bids back on clearings that we had talked about? You were going to look into that. Is that something that we are still out for bid on, or?
Yeah, no, I haven't, so. There's an array of scope down there that we really, one of my biggest concerns is we have this done without a grading effort. We just need a way to maintain it, and so that's what I'm wrestling around with. I don't want a bunch of work being done, and then we're not being able to maintain that, and then, what I'm referring to is around the bridge area. And we had that cut down, and it's just now growing back, but it's just dangerous for my staff to go down there with anything because of the terrain. So there's a lot we've been thinking, and the DNR was supposed to meet me to talk about, and she had to leave town, so that kind of eliminated a chance for me to see what we could do for stump removal, because they don't have an issue with us cutting the trees down. It's an issue with removing stump, because the stump from the root base stabilizes the bank. I planned on, she was in town, I says, hey, if you have time, can we run down to the park? She said, yep, sure. And I said, well, you wanna go to the park? She said, I can't, I gotta be somewhere else. She's like, I take care of 6 counties and I gotta be somewhere else. So I'm trying to get her back in here to help me talk about that. Was something that Chuck suggested, so once I can get some guidance from her, if we can pull stumps. Or if we do what we need to do, but hey, it's just right now kind of opening up a can of worms. So, but
Is it worthwhile for us to start at least dropping some of them trees and deciding what we're gonna do with them stumps once we get or at least getting some of that cleared out? Or I thought we kind of had discussed about kind of getting that opened up a little bit. I don't know if you start in one spot or if you open up a can of worms or if you kind of
Yeah.
start and stop and just to show what we're all about.
yeah, so
You
I've
guys have been
I've had the crews down there taking care of what they can and just, they put a nice dent into things.
Yeah, on the turnaround,
yeah.
you beat that back probably a good 10, 15 feet there.
Yep,
And on
and
the,
then-
when you turn down to the right, you got it beaten down there pretty dang good.
And over here on this side, they've done a lot of work there, so. And now it's just, again, getting that to a grade where we could mow it and get the growth from, it's just all this stuff, you turn your back on it for a couple of years.
Well, some
and
of that long brush, I thought we were talking about even putting them goats in and doing a maintenance with them. If, and on that type of, terrain,
I think our new hire is a half goat.
okay?
He loves that stuff and go nuts. So,
Well, bring
Yeah,
some
it's
hay
definitely
in, bring some hay in
decent
for him on,
improvement.
next Christmas time or something and he'll be happy.
yeah, right.
So are we gonna, what, you're thinking February, start, that discussion with getting meetings? And I think, are we going to have them meetings before or after we get some clearing done? Or do we just keep this on the table for discussion next month and see if we can get some more discussion with, DNR and just keep on, looking at it each month and see what progress we can get?
Don, keep
That's a
on.
good idea, Donnie. Let's leave it on for each month until we've got our plan solidified.
You may get down there and take a couple pictures and see what the guys are doing. If they keep kind of flipping up on that, we can just keep, bringing it up and see, ultimately we wanted to kind of engage the community and show them what we got. I think it'll be easier to cut them down once the leaves are off.
Yep.
Yeah, late fall, we're gonna be able to see the topography better and
Right,
get a
exactly.
better idea of things, so.
Okay, so we'll table that till next month? Does that sound like
Yes,
a
sir.
plan?
Second.
Motion made, seconded, table, timeline on meetings with Public Works Village improvements. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. All right. Public Works Department report? Well, I think the only thing I could ask for is there a chance that we could at least get the post up, for the guys down in, out on,
What's that?
yeah, I was gonna say on Bruce Larson Way there.
Yep.
At least if the posts are in, when the signs come, we got it, it's done. And the other question I had was, with the utility posts that are going in, where we just replaced all of that, sidewalks along, Spring Street and stuff, is the utility responsible, for replacing that concrete, or is that on us?
It's on them,
Are they gonna be doing something on that?
yes.
Thank you. That'd be great, cause I seen that. I didn't know if that was something that we need to do or not.
Nope.
There's a few places where they've kind of put them in, but are they gonna do
Fully
something
aware.
maybe? Pardon?
Fully aware, yep. Yep,
Okay.
so I've had those conversations, yeah.
What do you need from us to go with these self-watering baskets? You want us to move on this or?
Just something that we may look at and outlay and see where those numbers lay.
I mean, if we're paying people overtime to come in and water
Yeah.
flowers,
They have to be watered every day.
I think, yeah, it would be a good idea. It would be a cost savings measure to get those self-watering plants.
Yep.
Or
So I did
baskets.
pass that on to the champions to see if we could reduce, what do you think? And they're suggesting 10 baskets, and I think we have 16 now. So it'll be a reduction in baskets. And then
Yeah, we got the flower pots.
adding more of the.
I was
planters.
gonna say, you got 10 plants and you got how many flower pots? Weren't they talking about maybe adding more flower pots too?
Yeah, you look up at like, the hardware store and the gas station, I mean, we have the hanging ones there. I don't know if people really notice them up there, so. Adding some pots up in that area.
Parse these back a little bit, get some self-watering ones, we'll save on labor and save on.
Yeah, they'll pay for
flowers, they'll
themselves. They're $200. I'm looking at $2,000.
What do you need from us?
Nothing, just for, you know.
I like it for it.
And maybe coming.
Okay,
Did we budget out for that, Bob, in this budget? I thought that there was something in there for,
Yeah,
it went up to $3,000, right?
I bumped it up, yep.
Okay, so we got,
good cost savings, appreciate it.
and how are we looking at for our decorations and stuff for winter and stuff? Everything doing okay on that?
Yeah,
Okay, so we're doing fine on everything else and you went, yeah.
Where's
from
the roof at?
The extra 1,500 should cover it then for decorations and expense for 2025?
yep, it should.
Anything else for the report or discussions on questions on the report?
None.
Bills,
Brandon Crowe make a motion to approve the bills as presented.
Second.
motion made and seconded to approve the bills as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
opposed nay, motion carried. Future agenda items. I think we got enough on our agenda for next month.
Brandon Crowe, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed nay. Have a good night, everyone. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks,
Aye.
guys.
6:51 PM.
Plenty of time.